How's it going, guys? This is Ken. So after using my iPod Touch 5th generation for about a week, I'm going to bring you the full video review of the Apple iPod Touch 5th generation. I'm going to talk about the iPod Touch 5th generation design, hardware, software, camera, and just basically my personal opinions about this device. So let's get started. You can get the iPod Touch in many different colors, so you can check out Apple's website to look at these different colors. You can get the 64GB version for $399. You can also get the 32GB version for $299. Unfortunately, Apple didn't include the 8GB or the 16GB version for the iPod Touch. Now let's take a look at the design of this iPod Touch. So on the front, you can see that the screen is a lot bigger. Well, not a lot bigger, but it is 0.5 inches bigger. The screen size is not wider, but it just became longer. It still maintains the high-resolution Retina display screen, and I'll talk more about the screen resolution later in this video. On the bottom, you can see that it has the headphone jack, the new Lightning connector, and a really small speaker for the iPod Touch. On the side of the device, it has two volume controls, volume buttons, and on the top, of course, it has the power or the lock button. Let's take a look at the back of this iPod Touch. Up top, it has the brand new iSight 5-megapixel camera, along with flash and microphone. And on the right side, it is the Wi-Fi receiver. In the middle, it has this really shiny Apple logo and the iPod text. And moving on to the bottom of this iPod Touch, it has this new feature which is called the iPod Touch Loop. So basically, I can attach a lanyard or hand strap to this little circle which sticks out. And when they are attached, I can basically hold this up as a hand strap and possibly prevent iPod Touch drops. The build quality of this iPod Touch definitely feels really supreme, just like the iPhone 5. As you can see, it is extremely thin, even thinner than the iPod Touch 4th generation, coming in only at 0.24 inches or 6.1 millimeters. It also feels extremely light in the hand. It's only 3.1 ounces or 88 grams. So now let's take a closer look at the camera on the iPod Touch. It is a much improved camera that can take 5-megapixel pictures and shoot 1080p videos. So I can snap a picture really fast, almost instantly. And these are the pictures that I took with the iPod Touch. As you can see, the color is very vibrant and vivid. It is also a lot sharper than the iPod Touch 4G because this has a 5-megapixel camera rather than a 0.7 megapixel camera on the iPod Touch 4G. It also has an aperture of f2.4, which performs better in low light situation and allow more light in, which creates a shallow depth of field. I actually made a video showing you guys the camera on the iPod Touch 5G and comparing to the iPod Touch 4G. So check out that video by clicking on the annotation on the screen. The iPod Touch 5th generation also comes with the new Lightning connector, which is much smaller than the old 30-pin connector. This Lightning connector is also in the package of the iPhone 5. So I'm just gonna plug this in. A great feature about this new connector is that it can plug in both ways. One thing that I noticed is that I had to use much pressure to push in and pull out the Lightning connector. It also comes with a new product that Apple introduced recently, which is the Apple EarPods. So this is a huge improvement from the old Apple earphones. It looks a lot different. It has this weird shape, but it's apparently gonna fit in most people's ears. And the sound quality definitely improved by a lot. A bit more bass and overall sound quality is just better than the old earphones. And as Apple claims, this Apple EarPod fit in my ear perfectly and it's pretty comfortable. So now let's take a closer look at the screen of the iPod Touch as I promised in the beginning of the video. So this has a 4-inch widescreen IPS Retina display that is 1136 by 640 pixel resolution at 326 pixels per inch. So here's a side-by-side comparison between the iPod Touch 4G and the 5G. As you can see, the iPod Touch 5G's color looks a lot more accurate and just basically more vibrant and more vivid. So basically, if you upgrade to the 4-inch iPod Touch 5th generation or the iPhone 5 and you go back to your older generation iDevices, you're not going to get used to it because of the smaller screen. So this is another comparison between these two devices. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but in real life, the display is noticeably different from the 4G and the 5G. The iPod Touch 4th generation's color look almost a bit washed out. And another big difference from these two devices is the back plate. The iPod Touch 4G has this mirror aluminum back, which looks okay, but I can say that it is a scratch magnet. On the other hand, the iPod Touch 5G has this brushed aluminum back, which looks nice and it feels really smooth in the hand, and it's not going to get scratched easily. And the battery life of the iPod Touch 5G also improved. Now it can play 40 hours of music and 8 hours of video playback, and to complete a full charge it has to charge for about 4 hours. Right beside the camera or the microphone, it has the LED flash. So let me just go to my apps and open up my flashlight, and here it is. So this is really useful for taking pictures at night, or maybe use it as a regular flashlight at night. So the camera functionality is almost on par with the iPhones. And now I'm going to show you a little footage of gaming on the iPod Touch 5G. Thanks to the A5 chip, dual-core chip, the iPod Touch 5G can run most games in the App Store, including all the graphic intense games. So playing Doodle Jump can be beneficial because the screen is longer and you can see more steps up high. And let's open up Fruit Ninja and just gonna show you a little gameplay of my crappy skills of slicing fruits. One current issue of the iPod Touch 5th generation or the iPhone 5 is that the 4-inch display does not support some of the apps. So for example, Fruit Ninja on the left and right side, it has these black bars, which doesn't look that nice because I have a white bezel, but I believe that most apps will get updated to these new devices. Now let's move on to the software. The iPod Touch is running on the latest iOS, which is iOS 6.0. This has some new improvements, for example, the Passbook app, the new Apple Maps that some of you guys hate, and in settings, I can toggle Do Not Disturb on or off. When I turn this on and if I receive any notifications, it will not alarm me. Something that I noticed is that when I go to brightness, it doesn't have the option of auto brightness. So Apple did not include the ambient light sensor on the iPod Touch 5G. So it doesn't have the option of auto brightness. And there are also some other improvements or new UI changes. For example, the new design of the camera app. Another new feature is the built-in camera panoramic mode. So I can turn on panorama and I can snap panoramic photos. I mean, it's not a huge improvement from iOS 5 to iOS 6. And iOS hasn't evolved in the past few years, and this is pretty much the reason why people think that iOS is getting boring. But it is your personal preference to choose which platform you want, either iOS, Android, Windows Phone 7 or 8, or just any other platforms, even BlackBerry if you like it. So just choose whatever you want. If you love iOS, I definitely recommend this device to you because iOS 6 just runs so smoothly and perfectly on the iPod Touch 5G. So if you like iOS 6, definitely get this iPod Touch. And also another new feature is Siri on iOS 6. So let me just quickly demonstrate this to you. Siri, is the iPod Touch 5th generation awesome?
Website.
What's the weather tomorrow in New York City?
It should be nice in New York. New York tomorrow. Up to 19 degrees and sunny.
If you want to check out a full demonstration on my iPod Touch 5G, you can check out my video on it. I did a video, so click on the annotation on the screen. So this is basically my review of the iPod Touch 5th generation. I know that this video is quite long, but I think I covered most of the iPod Touch on my hand right now. And if you want to check out more videos regarding the iPod Touch 5G, I have a playlist showing you guys the boot up test, speed test between the iPod Touch 4G, the Siri demo, the camera comparison, and more videos coming in the future. So click on the playlist and watch more videos about this iPod Touch 5G. If you enjoyed this review or this video, please give it a thumbs up because it took me a lot of effort and time to make this video, and thumbs up for the grass flower shots that I took. So thanks a lot for watching this video, hope you enjoyed it, and leave a comment down below on what you think of the iPod Touch 5G. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Leave your opinions down below. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for future tech videos. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at KimFilmsHD, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Have a great day.